Hey everyone and welcome back. So I'm finally getting around to doing my Flashback Weekend video. From this recording, I was there just a little over a week ago, and it was the first full convention I had been to in 2 years. Some of you remember I did go to one in Houston, but I only went for actually just a couple hours in one day. But this one I went for the entire weekend, went for the full event. Flashback has always been really special to me, so I had to fly back to Chicago for it. And obviously it was also great because I got to see all of my friends again, which I missed so much. So the nice thing about Flashback Weekend is that they usually have like a couple of reunions. Now obviously this one's a little bit different because of everything that's sort of gone on in the last year plus. I think it was hard to get certain guests, even some of the ones who were announced, for example, with the show last year, were not able to come back, but hopefully they'll be back maybe for the next show. And there were even a couple last minute cancellations, unfortunately. But luckily the main people that I wanted were there, which I'm very happy about. So first up, there was a Friday the 13th Part 5 reunion, and that's obviously the one I was most excited about. Not only just being a big Friday the 13th fan, but also the fact that, kind of thing where Part 5 sort of, I think, deserves more love than it usually gets. And I've always been a fan of Part 5, so I've already met a couple of people from it before, and I do have a Friday the 13th Part 5 poster that I've been getting signatures on. So this way I was also able to meet a couple more people from the film. So first up, from Friday 5, I met Dick Wyan, who plays Roy from Friday the 13th Part 5. Not to be any spoilers, but well, I'm going to spoil it anyway. I assume most of you have probably seen it by now. But Roy is obviously in the beginning of the film. He's one of the paramedics, and then we obviously find out at the end he's indeed the, Jason of the film. Really sweet guy. Really nice to meet him. He's kind of one of those guys where it's like, you're not sure how much he's sort of embracing some of this fandom, but he literally, I think, could not have been happier with all the people who wanted to meet him. He was very kind, very generous. And he did do a very fun photo op, which I'll get to in a moment. Next up was Ron Sloan from Friday the 13th Part 5. And what was cool about it, first off, the guy's hilarious, by the way, if you ever get to meet him. And he actually has the original prop of him from the film, his head. He tells a funny story about how he was able to get it actually a couple years later from the effects company. So now he brings it around, and it was kind of funny because I was like, I'm getting his autograph, and he's just like, here, here's the head, and like, here, why don't you hold it? And I was like, oh, okay. And again, just such a fun and funny guy. And next up is Carol Locatel from the film. Obviously, oh God, I mean, how, like, I had to meet her. And as you can see here, she has absolutely no problem flipping everybody off, because obviously, it's probably her big moment in Friday the 13th Part 5, and she absolutely loves it. She is literally just having a ball with all of this, and I kind of like that she really just embraces it like full blown. And next up is Deborah Voorhees from Friday the 13th Part 5. She's probably she has probably the most memorable death scene, probably scene overall, especially if you were certain age maybe when you first saw it. And she was so kind and so cool. I absolutely loved meeting her. And what was also nice is that she actually co-wrote and directed a film called 13 Fanboy, really about a guy who's sort of like, I think, stalking some of his favorite Friday the 13th people. So it's kind of like, I got to see the trailer for it, and actually it looks really good. I was actually really smart. Sometimes when people are like, well, I made a film, it's like, here's the trailer, and just like, okay, you kind of like, all right, I don't know what to expect. And it looked so good. So this is definitely one I am excited to see. I think it's slated for sometime this fall. And I got to meet Melanie Kinnaman again, who was very excited to see. Got to meet her a couple years ago, so she's always very sweet. And of course, all of them I managed to get on my Friday the 13th Part 5 poster, so I got a lot more signatures on it now, which I'm very happy to have. It's kind of one that sort of lay dormant for a couple years, but it's like, finally, I get more on it. And it's like, it's all right, now it's starting to really look like something. And next up is James Jude Courtney. He's the one who's playing Michael Myers in the newer Halloween films. I believe he's doing it for all three. Obviously, Nick Castle is doing some stuff, and then I think James Jude Courtney is pretty much kind of doing, I think, a lot of the main stuff. Very cool guy. I mean, some of I may have had a little bit of mixed feelings on the newer Halloween film. Hopes are high, though, for the Halloween Kills. And yes, he is very tall. Not that, I mean, I guess most people are tall compared to me, but he is still very tall. But he was very cool, and he had this 8x10 on his desk, on his table. And the moment I saw it, I was like, oh my God. And I went to lift it up to take a closer look, and it was the last one. And even my friend was just like, you know you have to get that, right? I was like, yes, I know I have to get it. So here's my 8x10 that I had him sign with obviously the 3 kids in the Halloween 3 costumes. Naturally, you know, if I saw that, I had to get it. So that was actually a nice moment right there. Next up, I got to meet Sandy Johnson from the original Halloween. She's Judith Myers, the very, very first victim in Halloween. And it was so cool to meet her. She was very, very sweet and very, very kind. And I did get 2 autographs from her. Got the one that they tend to use a lot with, I think, some of her promos, like when she's announced for conventions and stuff. And it's like, I don't know, I really like it. You know, it's a cowboy hat and it's just a nice picture. And obviously there isn't too much from the actual film. And they had this one, which I wasn't going to get originally because, you know, it's kind of hard to see her because it's obviously through the eyes of the mask from the beginning of the film. But then I kind of wanted something from the film itself. So I did end up getting this autograph. And next up is Peter Cowper, who was the miner in the original My Bloody Valentine. Been wanting to meet him for a long time. And what was very cool about this, outside the fact that I met him and was able to get an autograph, and it's like, I know I kind of picked probably the most obvious 8x10 to get, but it's like, I really wanted that iconic image. And what I like actually about the photo that we took is like, it was his idea. He's like, I want to kind of like stand behind you. And it was just like, God, we look like a demented like father and son killing team. And it was kind of really, really funny. But also the fact that friends of mine got a very awesome replica of the, what do you call it, the pickaxe, and stuff, and they had him sign it, and so I went to pick it up for them. So they wanted a picture, so I was able to go get a picture of him, you know, holding it after he autographed it. And because I had to, I did get a picture of me holding it as well out in the lobby. Because when you have something that cool around you, it's like, well, obviously I need to take advantage of the situation. And then finally, I got to meet, you know what, the man, the legend, Meatloaf himself, who was very, very cool and very kind. And yeah, he can talk. Let me tell you, he can talk if he wants to. But I kind of welcome that. You know, sometimes it's like, sometimes if people are too quiet, you kind of get a little nervous about it. But it's like, he can talk like nobody's business. In fact, a lot of times his line was always long because it's not that, I mean, he always had a lot of people anyway, but also the fact that, like, you know, he likes to talk to each person, as you know, he doesn't just sign and like move you on. So that was like really, really cool. Now there were other people I would have liked to have gotten autographs from, but I at least did get a photo op from. So one of the people, actually, they did have sort of a mini Killer Klowns from Outer Space reunion. And it was with Suzanne Snyder and Grant Kramer and 2 of the guys who played, you know, some of the clowns. It was Herod Blank and Mike Martinez. And what was cool is that for the photo op, they actually put on these, you know, killer clown outfits. So here's my photo op that I did at least get with all 4 of them, along with my buddy Jerry that I sort of dragged into the picture with me. Next up was the Friday the 13th Part 5 photo op. Now it's cool to get a picture with all of them because they were so great. Again, you know, meeting all of them at their tables, I mean, they were so fantastic, and their Q&A was really great too. They did need to have kind of a barrier up for it, and I was kind of hoping it wouldn't be as obvious, so that's my only kind of iffy thing about the photo op. But I love at least being around all of them because, again, huge fan, and I love that actually Carol is flipping me off in the photo op. And then for my Dick Wyan photo op, he which is really cool, he does a sort of partial costume kind of thing. So he puts on sort of the overalls, and he has this machete prop. If you look closely, the overalls, they're sort of kind of bloody and everything. And that was a lot of fun. You could tell he was actually enjoying that. And, you know, a nice little moment too when he kind of gave me props. He was just like, hey, you know, way to act in the photo. I was like, oh, thanks. And probably the big photo op for the weekend, the one that definitely had a massive line for it, was the Kane Hodder as Jason from Part 8 photo op. Naturally, I had to get that. And what was kind of worked out in my favor, which, you know, does not happen, but when it happens, you know, it's like, okay, you take advantage of the situation. So I got up to take my picture with Kane in the makeup, and he took the picture, and he's like, oh crap, I think I moved. Let's do another one. So they took another photo. Now, because if they announce another photo, or if the other person announces, you know, take another photo, you get both photos. Even if you only paid for one, you get both. So technically, I got actually 2 photos out of it, which is fantastic. And I did pay to get the digital version of the extra one though, so which is fine because you can see one, like you can see his hand, and then the other one, the hand sort of down below. It's just the kind of thing where it's like, it didn't matter to me. I mean, I think both photos look great. And I'm also very happy because with the photo op that I got a couple years ago of the other Jasons in makeup, you know, from Part 2, final chapter, Tom Morga from from Part 5, as well as Ken Kurtzinger from Freddy vs. Jason. It's like when I got Dick Wyan from Part 5 as well, and obviously Kane Hodder, you know, sort of representing 7, 8, and 9, and 10. What am I talking about, you know? So it's like, yeah, technically I'm still missing 2 Jasons, but really it's like I kind of feel like I got photo ops with like almost, you know, all the Jasons in some sort of costume. So that actually makes me feel pretty good. And I did have both Dick Wyan and Kane Hodder sign their photo ops as well. I mean, it's like, how could you not, you know? It's like, when you get photo ops like that that are that cool, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have them sign it. And then obviously the big part about the weekend as well was me actually being able to see some of my friends that some of them I've not even seen, actually I think all of them I've not seen in 2 years, which is insane to think about. It's like, my God, 2 years of my life and I didn't see like a majority of my friends. So if anything, that was really the most special part of the weekend. And it's like, even Saturday night we actually got, you know, finally got some pizza in Chicago. So we got like a thin crust, a really great thin crust pizza on Saturday night. And this thing was huge. I mean, we were all, you know, we were all kind of sitting around. And it's like, we ordered this pizza and like, I knew it was going to be big. I didn't think it was going to be that big. I don't even know if you can tell from the picture, but it was big. And then Sunday, my buddy Jerry drove me to the airport, and I sort of begged him all weekend, like, we have to go to Lou Malnati's. So we went to Lou Malnati's before he left me off, which is my favorite deep dish pizza, by the way. So before I left Chicago, I was able to get my beloved deep dish pizza, which was fantastic. Needless to say, one of the things I do miss about Chicago, it's the pizza. But again, kind of the main thing is, again, just seeing all my friends again, and just, you know, oh man, I cannot tell you how much I miss them, even though, you know, technically I talk to them regularly. You know, it's not the same thing when you actually get to just hang around them in person. And we all had a lot of fun. I mean, obviously, you know, it's just, you know, a little drinking going on in some of the evenings, but that's what you do at conventions. And you just, you know, it was just a blast. And then finally we get to what did I actually get at the convention. Surprisingly, I actually did not get that much outside of the autographs, which pretty much were kind of the main things I was buying. I actually only bought a couple things. One of them actually already showed off in the last video, but just in case, here it is again. This Halloween 3 pillow. This is actually the first thing I bought. I'm walking around, I see this pillow, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I have to buy that. One way or another, I find a way to shove this thing into my suitcase. Obviously, it's been obvious because it's just been sitting back here for like the last week. And then the other thing is this blanket, which, I mean, this thing is huge. I don't even know if I can actually show this prop. You know what? I took a picture of it. Let me put the picture right here because it's actually pretty big with this Friday the 13th blanket. Probably one of my favorite images, you know, obviously with the mask and the knife going through the eye. Like, I just had to get it. And funny because a buddy of mine who doesn't normally buy stuff like this, he was like, I'm going to buy that blanket. And I was like, well, if you're getting one, I have to get one because they were kind of expensive, but again, the quality was really great, is really great. And when I was like, you know what, I'm going to take one too, he was just like, that's my last one, actually. I was like, okay, well, then I'm definitely taking it. So glad I did, because I think if I missed out on that, I definitely would have regretted it. Next up, I got 3 t-shirts. 2 of these, actually, I got from, what was the name of the company? Gotta check on the sleeve. Red Death Studios. And so first up is this Friday 13th Part 5 poster t-shirt, which is very cool. And then the other one I got from them is this Friday the 13th Part 6 t-shirt right here. Again, poster t-shirt, which is very, very neat. And then finally, the third t-shirt I got from Terra Threads is this Devil's Reject shirt, which is actually a blacklight shirt. So if you have a blacklight on it, it sort of, you know, really emphasizes certain aspects of it. It's like, I saw this shirt and then the blacklight on it, and I was like, oh yes, I'm definitely grabbing that. One thing that actually I got as a gift, now some of you may know that I'm a bit sheepish when it comes to gifts. I actually, as much as it's nice to receive a gift, I sort of feel kind of weird when people give me stuff, because I was kind of like, well, I kind of feel like I should pay for it. Even with, like, you know, birthdays and Christmas and stuff, like, I'm always a little kind of like, it's like, you know, really, you don't have to get me anything. Like, even in relationships, like, you know, girlfriends will try and get me something. It's like, really, you don't have to get me anything. There's other things you can do that don't cost money if you really want to do something for my birthday. But Jacob, which I had mentioned, I think, in my last flashback video, very, very cool guy. He had gotten me that Fright Night Japanese record of the single, which was amazing because he knew how much of a fan I was because he watches some of these videos. And he had these Japanese, like, programs for movies. Obviously, he knows how much of a John Carpenter fan, you know, fanatic I am. And he's like, he got me these. And I was like, these things are awesome. So here's one for vampires, John Carpenter's Vampires. And these things are amazing. Obviously, I can't read Japanese, but it doesn't matter. I mean, look how cool. Let me find here. I mean, it's just loaded with like pictures and everything. These are high quality and it's nice and glossy and everything. And there's one for They Live. Here, I mean, just look at that. Obviously, I can't read the text, but still, I mean, look at the picture right there of Roddy Piper just, slamming Keith David right there. I mean, oh God, this thing is just so awesome. And then finally, look at this. Big Trouble in Little China. And oh my God, look at Jesus. Look at that. So awesome. Oh man. And even though I can't read it, but I mean, like, there's like, little tidbits on the cast and things like that. Oh man, these things are so awesome. And, he gave them to me. It's like, again, I was kind of like, can I give you something for it? And he's like, no. So definitely very, very cool of him to do that. And it was, again, great seeing him again. I got to actually talk to him a lot more this time around. Really, really great guy. He's kind of one of those guys, like, I kind of wish I was actually still living in Chicago, because I probably would have definitely hung out with him, outside of the convention. And then finally, the last thing I got, which, I always seem to get one thing from every convention I go to that's a little bit out of the ordinary, a little bit interesting. And I almost didn't have that. I mean, I guess maybe the pillow comes close, I don't know. But for sure, the last thing I actually bought that weekend, even then I was kind of like, I already checked out of my room. I was like, God, I hope, how am I going to bring this home? I don't know. Luckily, it fit in my suitcase all right. And that is this Jason mask that has these sort of like LED light up feature, which I will turn on right now. And hope you can kind of see that okay. I can turn out some of the lights in a moment, but it just has that feature, and then it blinks, and then it blinks really fast, and then it goes off. I saw this thing, I kept looking at it. I was even like, I think I asked my buddy, I was like, do you think I should get that? So I kept like looking at it. And then finally I was like, you know what, if I'm like, I finally went over and actually looked at it up close, and I was like, if I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it. I'll find a way to get it home. And luckily it actually fit in my backpack just fine. And I kept my backpack on me. I didn't even put it in the overall, I just kept it on me. So I was able to really protect it as well. But let's turn out the lights a little bit so you can kind of see a better look of it. Okay, so I don't know how well you guys can see me. Let's see, here's the mask. And there it is, all lit up right there. Look at that, isn't that cool? I don't know, I mean, I think it's cool. So there's that feature, and then there's kind of the slow blink, and there's the fast blink. Again, just kind of something kind of out of the ordinary to get, as I always seem to get something. And I kind of figured, maybe somewhere in here, maybe I want to set up maybe a little Jason area if I can. Maybe just hang this on the wall, and just so every so often, if I can, just, turn it on kind of thing, or something. I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. So obviously I got it. So that's it for Flashback Weekend 2021. Obviously I had an amazing time in every possible way. One of my favorite things also from the weekend, which I do have to mention, is some of you who actually came up and said hi and told me how much you enjoy, my channel and the videos and stuff. And I literally cannot tell you how much that meant to me. I really was not expecting that. I mean, I remember when it happened the first time, it was kind of like, wow, that's actually really nice. But it actually happened a few times. I don't know how many of you actually want to be named, so I don't want to name names just in case. My only regret actually is that I kind of wish I sort of got a quick picture with you guys, which is also something I regret about the whole weekend in general, is that I did not take more pictures. I really, really wish I did. I really regret that. I mean, Jesus, I paid more to get the highest end iPhone, so because it has the better camera on it, and then like I barely used it all weekend, took pictures of my food, it's like, I really should have used that more often. And speaking of photos, one last thing is I was able to also do my portrait photos of I think everyone I met. I think I didn't get one of Melanie Kinnaman only because I had already gotten one of her when I met her the previous time. So I was able to get my portrait shots, which I always love doing. So as you can see here, here's Dick Wyan right here, which I absolutely love. This actually might even be my favorite one, actually. He just has like a good face. And here's one that actually, it's kind of one of those where from a technical standpoint, I actually got upset, but in the long run, I actually think it's hilarious. This is obviously the one of Ron Sloan, and it's like he's obviously holding the head, and the autofocus, which I did not notice at the time, actually focused on the head, on the fake head, not his head. So he's just slightly out of focus. But honestly, it actually makes me laugh that that's actually where the autofocus, the eye autofocus went to. And the next up is Deborah Voorhees, which is such a lovely picture. And hers is actually my favorite from a technical standpoint, just because she was actually a little bit game for me, just, sort of moving her around. So I was able to get convention blurred out behind her, which just makes it a little bit more interesting. And next up is Carol Locatel, who she was wearing the mask for protective reasons. And you know what? That's fine. I know it's her. It's okay. And she has really pretty eyes too. So I was actually very happy to get it either way. There's one of Peter Cowper, who's not only holding a pickaxe, but he's also tossing a heart up in the air. And the heart kind of blocks out part of his face. I still absolutely love it. And here's one of Sandy Johnson, which I just think she looks so sweet in this photo. And then finally, one I was a little bit nervous because, you never know sometimes when you get to the bigger names. But again, Meatloaf was all in for it. So, and here is the Meatloaf portrait shot, which again, I absolutely love. I actually think it turned out really, really good. Again, these are just very, very quick shots I get, but this is kind of my thing. I've been doing this now for so many years now. Whenever I meet people, I always try and get like this little portrait shot of them. I don't know why. Just, when I started doing it, it's like just kind of something that kind of clicked with me. So I've been doing it ever since. So I was able to get it with everyone. So that officially now wraps up my Flashback Weekend video. So I just want to share it with you guys because again, the weekend was extremely special for me. And hopefully it's not another 2 years until the next one. I don't think so. I think everything should hopefully be semi-good going forward. Fingers crossed. And next year, as of right now, I am planning to go to maybe even a couple of conventions. So we shall see, because boy, do I miss going to conventions. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.